Maybe we should have done sci-fi.
Wow. Yeah.
3PO.
Are you there, Dr. Bowman?
Not anymore.
Oh,
It's
man.
because we invited Jonathan. Thanks, Jonathan.
Hey, I've been told that my face breaks the camera, so that could be what's going on.
I'm addicted to these like all fruit, like fruit strips. Ooh, I don't like grape. But you know what? I'm gonna eat it all.
There you go. Set a goal, work toward it. It's good.
I think we're live as I'm eating a grape fruit strip. Hold on. Oh, but we're live. Guys, I hope you know that these really yummy organic fruit strips, grape is not yummy. Welcome to episode 8 of The Next Great Read. We are here with one of our special guests. Well, I'm Misty Shea. I'm the librarian at Central High School in Keller ISD.
I'm Lauren Steller. I'm the librarian at Keller Middle School.
And our special guest today is...
I'm Jonathan Thorne. I'm the Learning Commons Director at Indian Springs Middle School.
Wow, that was fancy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we let Mr. Thorne choose our theme this week, and he wanted to do some fantastic fantasy. And just remember, if you would like to participate in the chat, please sign in and subscribe and go to the top of your channel and make sure you turn on and sign in and do all that stuff. Promise you're not giving your soul away, or maybe you are. I don't know. But participate in the chat. Let us know what you think. Any suggestions, any oohs and ahs, or I've read that book, or whatever. And just interact with us. And yeah, so we're excited to go over some really epic fantasy. So we are actually going to start with Mr. Thorne.
Ooh, all right. Crescent City. Yeah. So, when I think of fantasy, there's kind of a main category that happens in fantasy is world building, right? So like fantasy folks are known for this. Tolkien was much more known for his world than for his well-developed characters with the Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings series. Sarah J. Maas, I am super excited about her, and she draws me and she kind of sucks me into her narrative because not only is she a good world builder, she's an excellent developer of characters. And that certainly holds true for Crescent City. Now, a little disclaimer, Sarah J. Maas is, she has gotten over the years progressively more and more YA. All right, people. So, that is, in her case, we're talking some mature sexual content going on. And in the case of Crescent City, it's actually labeled adult, but recommended for teens who liked her other books. And I'll talk about one of her other books in a minute. So disclaimers aside, this book has a payoff at the end that's like nobody's business. She does a great job at bringing things together, and, no spoilers, but just know that happens. And the reason I started with the end is because the beginning, and Ms. Shea can chime in here too. The beginning is a little slow. Like this thing, it starts off
a couple chapters, but I knew, because I love Sarah J. Maas and I love her books, like Jonathan said. But I was like, I'm gonna do this. People love this book, and so it was a little slow on the upkeep, like on the start.
Yeah. But for people that have read her other stuff, this represents kind of a cool little departure for her. Her other fantasy has been more in the traditional realm of elves and kind of a medieval-ish sort of setting, plus magic type of stuff. This is set in a modern fantasy city. It also is less about a kind of magical coming of age story and more about a murder mystery. So it's a murder mystery set in a fantasy world, and that kind of sets it apart from a lot of other books in the genre. And our main character, her name is Bryce Quinlan, and she follows in a tradition of strong, like way strong female characters that Sarah J. Maas is known for and celebrated for. Bryce Quinlan is half human and half fae. All right, and so she is just trying to figure out really who she is. Okay, so there is a coming of age, there is an identity crisis happening, but it's right in the middle of a murder mystery. And her main counterpart in trying to untangle this web of lies, betrayal, deceit that accompanies most murder mysteries, his name is Hunt. And I forgot what he is called, but he's kind of a demon-like character with wings. And also hot, as Sarah J. Maas likes to make her male characters. He's got, I think he's described at some point as, it's not a 6-pack, it's like an 8-pack or a 10-pack the guy has. So, you know, there's something for everyone in this one. And I highly recommend this book for those of you that like world building and also are fans of books that kind of go deep into multiple characters. The strings of character development are taken far along their respective arcs and journeys and paths in Crescent City. So now there we go. That's my
read it again. Oh no, I was it's obviously the first book, and who knows, like her last series was like 6 books.
Yes.
I mean, she's known for books to go to be multiple books. So at the end of this definitely leaves for another book, and I'm ready for it already. So maybe I'll just reread this one over and over and over again until the next one comes out.
Yeah. So that'll take you a while. What was it? 800 pages. This is a long one.
Day. But I can finish books in a day though. So I guess that doesn't really say much. Lauren, have you read it yet?
I've not. I have a lot to catch up on.
That's okay. We'll forgive you.
No. I do like that you said that she has a lot of not just the world building, but character development. That sells the book for me big time, since I'm a serious person and I love getting to know the characters. Like that's a big selling point for me.
Are you serious?
I know. Okay, House of Dragons. I'm so excited to talk about this, and I'm kind of excited that I have it here to hold. I haven't had many that I actually get to hold here.
Nice.
Don't skip. You don't want to skip this one. Just trust me. So House of Dragons. The way I think of this one is Game of Thrones meets Hunger Games. It is definitely fantasy, but it is so fantastically done, and I love the world that we're in. So there is a kingdom, and like all good like higher fantasy books, it's got this gorgeous map at the beginning, which I love because that really helps me kind of figure things out. But there are these 5 kingdoms, and there is an emperor who rules over all of them, and the emperor is chosen through this dragon, the great dragon. So it's a world with lots of dragons, obviously House of Dragons. And so each of the nobility, dragon eggs are hard to come by. So nobility they get their own eggs. And so when they hatch, they form a bond with them, and they are bonded with their dragons. So anytime the emperor passes on, then the call of the dragon goes out. Whoever dragon is called then goes to this trial, and the 5 compete to then become the next emperor or empress. And it is always the firstborn of the nobility. But as you're reading, the chapters you get the perspective from the 5 different main characters from each kingdom, and something has gone completely haywire because the firstborns are skipped, and it's almost all seconds. In one case, it's a 21st of this guy who's got 29 kids. And so something has gone completely haywire, and you find out little things about each character along the way. Like one has specific kind of dangerous magic, and just you find out little things like that along the way. And what is fantastic, yes, it's a ton of action, but then the action only goes through, I say action, the trial that you're looking for only goes through about this much of the book. The rest of it is mystery of trying to figure out what is taking place, what is going on, how can they beat these odds, and how can they save themselves and the Empire as they are trying to fix it all. And they're just kind of this band of misfits that are trying to do it. It is fantastically written. I loved every second of this one, and I cannot wait for the second one.
It is on Sora. Fort Worth Library has a copy, and I think
it was not there. That's why I bought one.
Oh, pull out your phones, ladies and gentlemen. Start your engines.
Hey,
Colby just beat us all. She downloaded it.
And so are a lot of Sarah J. Maas books, in case you're wondering. So they are on Sora. I've been looking as we are talking, so don't despair. Hey guys, remember I read a book in a day, so I'll have it done by tomorrow.
Oh man.
Lauren was telling me about this book, and I just I started salivating. I'm super excited about it.
So good.
Wow.
One of these characters, she is so fierce, and she's supposed to be absolutely drop dead beautiful, but just completely unfeeling what she has been made to be. And I pictured Charlize Theron as the evil queen the whole time I was reading her character.
She makes the best evil queen.
I know. That's how I pictured one of them. I was like, yeah, that one's a good one.
Wow.
Oh, by the way, I have to read this real quick. This is the first line of the book. Are you ready for the first line?
I'm ready.
One day after the emperor had died and been eaten, the call went out to select his successor. Just throw you right in there.
Nice.
I love it.
Been eaten.
You know, I kind of want to be eaten by a dragon. That's the way to go.
Well, actually, it's a part of this ritual. So you are your body, your lifeline, and then your dragon, because you are bonded, is your soul. So the proper thing to do, fighter who then dies, they're supposed to be eaten by their dragon, so then they can go up to the stars. I'm like, okay, that's a little bizarre.
It's a mix of Aragon and Pullman's. What's that series where you have your daemon?
The Golden Compass?
Yes. And dragons and Game of Thrones. Oh my gosh. Yeah. This is like a quadruple.
But then it kind of feels like the fourth Harry Potter book in ways that they have all the different things that they have to go and do. The challenges kind of feels a bit like that too.
Lauren, can you remind me what role do the dragons play besides eating people?
Oh, they're very, very important. So they're almost as big of players as the main characters are, because you got to remember each of them has their own dragon, and a lot of what is happening is because their dragon was called, and the bond that they have between rider and dragon and things that happen to them and succession. So huge role in that.
Yes, there's the Aragon connection right there. That's cool.
I love it.
Loved it. What do we got now?
Sorry, I'm checking to see what else is on Sora for people. All right, so Trisha Levenseller, she's actually, she's known for her book, Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen. But then this is her newest book. It just came out. It's called The Shadow Between Us. Guy, this is very YA, because the main character, she could care less. So this is your typical medieval society. The women have to be very proper, and you can't be alone in a room with a guy. You have to court him and have a chaperone, whatever. But the main character, the first chapter, she's like, yeah, I've had so many lovers and I don't care. It's just, you might as well have fun. Why not? And then the first or second page, she's like, so my sister got married and now I can get married. So I'm going to go after the king, and then I'm going to kill him so I can be queen. So she goes into the castle to her first ball, trying to catch the eye of the king, the Shadow King, who doesn't let anyone near him. If you come within 5 feet of him, you get killed. It's just like a rule of the kingdom. You cannot go within 5 feet of the king. And but she goes in there with just the pure. She just wants to seduce him and then make him fall in love like every other guy, and when they get married, she's gonna kill him. But the problem is someone else wants him dead too. So as the story folds, they start, building a relationship, and he immediately, no spoiler, but he immediately from the first chapter is like, you should come hang out in my castle with me and join my court. And she's like, okay. And so as she's trying to snare him, she gets snared, and then they're trying to figure out who's trying to kill him, because she wants to kill him and she has to be queen first. Don't kill him before I'm queen. So I just really like this book because the main character, she makes her own clothing. She's just very, and I don't want to say like girl power, but she was really just strong, and I enjoy it. And then I like the mystery behind the Shadow King and his magic, and kind of where they go with that. And it's actually a very small book. Like it's tiny. Like it's a tiny little book. So you finish it like super quickly.
Ooh.
But you have to be okay with a very promiscuous. Granted, it doesn't describe it. So this would be okay for middle school, but it is suggestive that she, is not pure and chaste because she doesn't care.
And is there some tension there between, like, is she going to kill him or isn't she? Is that part of the deal too?
From the very beginning, like I don't know if there's tension, but I know there's a part in the book where he finds out, but that's later on. But yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty, and again, like she's desperately trying to play all her womanly wiles and tricks, and almost kind of like push and pull to try to get him to marry her, when he, like I said, he doesn't let anyone within 5 feet of him. So I really enjoyed it. It was different. I liked the Shadow King's powers. Like I liked the magic of it, and so it was fun. And it is a sweet little love story. So, but it's very fantasy as well.
Nice.
And it's new. It came out this year.
Okay, Throne of Glass. So you can tell there's a theme with me. I am currently in kind of a fanboy Sarah J. Maas mode. In fact, yeah. So me and one of our ELA teachers at school, it's just kind of, we spend a lot of time geeking out about a lot of things, but she comes up quite a bit. And this one, Throne of Glass, you can take back to, it's recommended by several reviewers for even as low as seventh grade and up. So this series, a good half of it anyway, is in my middle school library for the 7th and 8th graders. Man, it's well done. So Crescent City, which by the way, is actually called The House of Earth and Blood. That's the first in the series of Crescent City. Throne of Glass is the first in the Throne of Glass series. And it starts off quick. Like it will draw you in. Crescent City, a little slower, but the big payoff. Throne of Glass will draw you in right away. And this is kind of, for me, this is where she made a name for herself, Maas did, in characterization. So there's a whole cohort of characters, including right behind me. Oop, wait, there we go. That's Aelin, little fan art of Aelin, our main character, who when we meet her in Throne of Glass, she is in a slave camp, kind of a medieval-ish setting. The name of the world is Erelea. And that she has been, even prior, we learn, prior to being a part of this slave camp where she's kind of doomed to die, she was trained as an assassin. And so, in fact, there's a prequel that was written years later about that whole part of her. But so Aelin is our strong main character. And of course, Sarah J. Maas goes into depth into her story and journey. But there's maybe, 5 or 6 different characters that are part of this, including Kale. Dorian is Kale is a king's guard, and Dorian is the king's son, and the king is super evil, but Dorian may or may not be. And then there's a Fey world, and all kinds of magic. And Aelin, you may or may not be a part of the whole magical part of things, but she kills people anyway because that's
and a scary
deal.
monster.
and a scary monster and beings from like gods that are actually
I don't even know.
beings or something. I mean, and dungeons that hold unspeakable evils that she discovers. Oh, and by the way, if you get into Sarah J. Maas, she has a library theme that runs throughout all of her books. There's like fantastic libraries in each one of her things. So anyway.
The attitude there for Aelin. Love her self-confidence and just like,
oh yeah, she's kick butt. She's kick butt. And yeah. Oh, I wanted to share a literary term with you guys that I think Throne of Glass captures, and probably some of your other books do too. Y'all ever heard the term fictive dream? Fictive dream. The fictive dream. It was coined years ago by I forget who, but I heard Jacqueline Woodson talk about it in a TED Talk, and she said the fictive dream is kind of a literary term for that point when you're reading a book that you kind of forget you're reading, that it's sort of the movie of your mind and the pages just fly by and you're a part of the story. You know, I think Sarah J. Maas does a great job at getting the reader into that fictive dream state. So read this, and then you can tell me whether you got into a fictive dream over it.
There's like a following. Like this Throne of Glass has like an entire like Facebook groups devoted to this. It's almost as grand as Lord of the Rings. Like people, there's a following. There's cosplay. There's everything. Like people love the series. I love the series. When I'm in like just I don't even know. I just sometimes like for me, I want my favorite fictional characters to comfort me. So if I'm in a mood and I need comfort, I will reread a favorite series. And this is definitely one of my favorite series that I will reread. I just like it a whole lot.
Yeah.
This one is on Sora.
Oh, pick it up. Get it while the getting's good.
Wait, did you say it's on Sora? Because I swear it has not been.
I just looked. But I have all the free libraries that you can have.
Yeah, I have a ton of them on mine. I don't know how many times for that book. Because like I said, I brought home 1 and thinking it was 2 and it was 3. I can't read 1 and 3.
No, Throne of Glass, Keller ISD has it. Fort Worth Library does not, but it has all the others. North Texas Library on the Go has the Tower of Dawn, which is like a side story. So it looks like Keller has it. Go Keller.
Nice. Oh, and
blank.
I don't know.
You know,
I searched Moss. I just did MAAS. I didn't search the actual name of the book. Sometimes with search, I just have to go funky and find things.
Yeah. Hey, I forgot to do the disclaimer for this one. First half of the series in my middle school library. And really, that's books 1 through 4. Really, books 6 and 7 I could have in there too. It's just book 5 has some, again, mature sexual content that gives me pause.
Maybe 2. But, oh yeah.
Yeah, gets pretty racy in that one book. Yeah, you know. Hey, you younger people, if you're really young and you're listening to this, you know, like 5th, 6th grade, and you haven't read Aragon, go check out that series. And if you're older and you haven't, read that series.
And the movie is
younger readers.
Nothing compared to the books. So do not.
Oh, yeah. Don't judge it by the movie.
Okay, Songs from the Deep. This one is very much fantasy, but also every bit as much murder mystery, which I love. Some of my favorite things kind of mashed together. So this one has a lot to do with sirens. As you can see on the cover, you might think mermaid, but no, think sirens. So they sing and they can really entrance you, and that way pull you into the waters and kill you. Kind of not mermaidish, very dangerous rather. And so in this one, there is a young boy, I believe he was 11, somewhere around there, and he is found on the beach, and he is dead. He's found on the beach dead, and they're trying to figure out what happened because they automatically just blame it on the sirens. And our main character, she has this special connection to them. She really loves the sirens, something that she got from her father, who did a lot of studying on them from a distance. And so she looks at everything in a different angle than most of the people on her little island do. And she's starting to see some big inconsistencies and she says, look, I want you to look at this as a murder. So she, of course, the police aren't listening. So she and her best friend, they start investigating to see what's happening here, because she's just not convinced. And the more they dig into it, the more things start coming out. Like they could get notes telling them to stop looking into it, but okay, they're onto something. And they did a great job with this one, trying to figure out how it all came out. And I started to see where could predict closer to the end, but at least it wasn't like way at the beginning. It's a smaller book, so it doesn't take very long to get through, but it was fantastically done. It had very kind of an Irish kind of feel. I read everything with an Irish accent in my head. So it was very cold on the shore, and it's like dark steel gray waters, snow and stuff. Like it was, that's how I read it in my head. Very Irish setting. I don't know why. Kind of had a feel of House of Salt and Sorrow, and what was the other one? Sea Witch. It had that kind of similar feel to those. So that was a fun one. I like a good murder mystery.
This book is on Sora. It's from the Fort Worth Library. So if you are part of Keller, Watauga, Fort Worth, that's the whole system is all combined. So it's on there. Wow. You might just have to wait.
Are there like Irish or Gaelic names? Like, is there any sort of thread besides just the
coldness? The names in there. I'm trying to think of what some of them were. Like that's what got me thinking about that first, was the name of the set, the place, the town that they were in, and then some of the different names. I was like, okay, that feels very Irish or Scottish or something along those lines. Yeah.
Cool.
And I just remembered I had this as a physical book to hold up as well, and I didn't grab it. My bad. But it was good. I enjoyed it. It's a quick read.
And I'm sorry, but sometimes with my fantasy, they all start to kind of merge together. So I think that's why I liked Salt and Sorrow so much, because it was different. I just create a different world with different evil characters, not only fairy or not only, wizards and witches. I needed something different. And so I'm excited about that one, because I love when it's different and it gives me different types of lore and mythology and all of that. I really love going deep into that stuff, because it's almost like adventuring into a new fantasy culture. So it kind of gives me pleasure there. Speaking of witches, Serpent and Dove, this is the book 1. The book 2 came out, I think, this year or the end of last year. This is a book about witches and witch hunters. So there's a religious feel to this on the witch hunter part of it. But you really start to love the main character, Lou. She has run away from her coven because when she turned 16, she was raised for the sole purpose to sacrifice when she was 16. So when she was 16, no spoiler, like you find that out in the first chapter because you figure out why she's running. So she's in hiding. So what do people do in hiding? They steal, they lie, they do this. And she cannot use her magic. She has to use it sparingly, because every time you use your magic, there's a scent of magic and everybody can smell it, especially the witch hunters. And so very early on in the book, they're trying to steal this ring that's going to hide her from her coven so that they can't find her, because that's her biggest fear, is being found and sacrificed again. Because supposedly if they sacrifice her, all the witch hunters will die. Like there's some like magic to where it's just going to wipe them out or whatever, or the system will fall down or whatever. So she wants to get this ring, but in getting the ring, they're pretty much caught by the witch hunters. And so the main like priest guy, he's like the head of the church in that town in France. It's like a French town. He's the head of the church, and he was like, they don't realize that she has magic. And so she is like a witness and this and this, and in order to get away, she put the main witch hunter in a very questionable position, and everybody saw it. And so she was like, oh, my purity, my chastity, whatever. And so the main church guy was like, all right, you're gonna play that game, well, you're gonna marry him now. So she is stuck, and I'm not kidding, not even a spoiler, in the first 2 to 3 chapters, this witch is stuck married to the most strict and stringent and he's like the head guard, the head witch hunter. And so she has to go live in the church in their like tower of witch hunters. And like I said, they smell magic, so she can't use it. But she has to hide. It's really awesome. It's one of those stories where they hate each other at the beginning, and then they start kind of falling for each other. And obviously, if you're going to be married to someone, you're going to have to be in close corners at all times. And then, of course, if he ever, I'm not going to tell you if he does or doesn't find out she's a witch, but I mean, just think about that how she's living with him. Like they have to share a room, like, you know, all of this is happening, and she, you know, she's terrified, but she's also in the safest place against witches. So anyway, it's a really good book. The second one's out. I cannot wait to read it. I enjoyed the characters. Reed was the head of the witch hunters, and I enjoy his characters, even though he's very like, you know, these are the rules, all witches are bad, blah, blah. But then you start seeing the gray area. Well, no, this witch is not. Are you a good witch or are you a bad witch?
I'm sorry, when you were talking about this, all I could hear was Seamus in my head going, my dad's a muggle, mom's a witch. Bit of a nasty shock for him when he found out.
Oh my God. Yes. Oh, wow. And yeah, that's it's so awesome. And I actually think a lot of the characters, there's a lot of culture, different like people of color, people, different nationalities, different things. So I really like that she built that world as well. Like they're all not just like Puritans and, you know, I don't know. So it was a really beautiful, and then some French language in there. It was just, I enjoyed it a lot. And I didn't think I would, because I mean, I like witches and stuff, but it's usually not my thing. And especially when you get like some really hardcore religious, like zealots, I was like, oh, I'm not going to be able to stomach this. But it was just put in there just to show you like how like, no, all witches must burn. You must burn them no matter what, and blah, blah, blah. But then you got to see the other side of it too. So it was really cool.
Only if they weigh less than a duck.
Or a feather, or they don't sink, or I don't even know. No, if they don't sink, they're witches. I don't even know. See, I need to study up on my witch lore.
That's what Audrey was saying. She said, what do you do with witches? We burn them.
So I'm curious as to, are the witches used as a, to kind of explore what it means to be a marginalized class of people? Does it go into that much depth?
They're definitely hunted, and it talks about, yeah, because essentially the witch hunters are trying to like just completely, but there are evil ones. Like there's a battle in the very first part of the book where some of the witches do some pretty awful things to very, you know, innocent people. So they're definitely willing to, you know, harm anyone in their path to get what they want. But then you also meet the main character and then her friend and some other people who have magic, who are fine. Like they use it for good purposes. And then magic always comes at a cost. So I do like that. I like it when it's just not willy-nilly magic. Everyone has it, blah, blah, blah. So anytime that Lou uses magic, like she has to break a thumb, or she has to do this or that. And then her friend is a blood witch. And so she has to like either use someone else's blood or like cut herself to use her own blood. So like, I think at one time it talks about her arm is just cut up because she has to use blood. So every witch has a price that they pay every time they use. And then the larger the spell and the more magic used, the more you have to give. Like, I think at one time Lou was like, I will give all my memories of chocolate away. I'm making that up, but I mean, it was something like that. She was like, but it has to be even. So like all of my memories of this to take that guy's memories of me using magic. So it had to be even and equal. So I really like that when they, I really like that when they have rules and it's just not willy-nilly magic and there's no limit to it. Because to me, like there needs to be a limit. Either you're pulling it from the earth, you're pulling it from here and there. But anyway, so I appreciated the magic had a price.
Bringing balance to the force.
Mm-hmm. Balance. Right? There we go. See, there's your Jedi-ism. No.
There you go. Yeah, that works. That's good.
Jedi.
Hey, would y'all mind if I bounce back to last week really quickly?
Bounce, girl, bounce.
Okay, so last week we talked about horror, YA horror, and there was one book that I had sitting in my Sora ready to read, but I just didn't have time to get to it before last week's episode. But I did go ahead and read it because it just looked really good. That was legit scary, and I'm so sad I didn't have it ready for last week, but it's called The Haunted. It's a new one. I think it's pretty new out on the market. I think it was fairly newly released. It has a really cool looking cover to it as well, because I just love covers. But it was really legit scary, and some of the stuff that was that were happening and was being haunted in the book, like there was one point I was like like I almost couldn't keep reading because
Who's the author?
It's a great question. Let me go back and look real quick. Danielle Vega.
Oh, I like Vega.
Yeah, it was really good. I'm not gonna lie though, not everybody is always okay.
Well,
That's
it's horror.
good.
You're not supposed to be okay in horror. Remember, you can't say I'll be back, because you're not. You're not coming back, and you just cursed yourself.
No, I watched Saw.
Yeah, I
know
have this book
everything's
in the
not okay.
library.
I have not watched Saw. I can't do gory. I can just read it. I can't watch it or read it.
Yeah, it'll tear you to pieces, that one.
Anyway, I had to share that one in case anybody wanted just some more horror or something like that. The Haunted was really, really good.
Yeah. Ooh, see, I'd be curious as to on a scary level how Harris would rate that one compared to the one she couldn't get through the first 4 chapters.
But she said she wasn't huge on horror though, so I don't know if I'm gonna judge that, because I don't know. Like, kids come into my library and they're like, "I want something scary," and I'm like, "Oh, this is really creepy. You should like it," and they're like, "Miss Shay, that was not scary," and I'm like, "You're desensitized. I don't know."
Yeah, tell me more about your house.
How many haunted houses have you been in lately?
It was like a classic like haunted house where people had been murdered before, but you're unraveling the story of what happened in the past and how that ties into things that are happening now, and people are actually getting physically hurt. And
what's that Netflix show that does that? Oh, it's The House is haunted, and this family moves in and they wind up all dying, and then they started making different seasons of it. Oh, I don't know. It's scary.
I didn't think I would be scared of something just listening to it. I was like, well, maybe reading it would be scarier, so this might ruin it. No, it was scary either way.
Wow. Oh, is that Lock and Key that you're talking about?
No, it's Haunted.
Okay.
By Danielle.
No, I was still thinking of the Netflix series.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh no, it's like hardcore.
Oh, okay.
I don't even know. All right, our viewers. So we were gonna have one more next week, and then we are gonna take a break in July because even teachers need to rest, and librarians, and kind of get some good R&R, and then read, and get our recommendations up, especially so we can come back strong at the beginning of August and really have some good back to school recs, or just, your summer's almost over. We're sorry, but read these books first.
Yeah.
Or hey, if your teacher's going to make you read for ELA, you might as well read this book, stuff like that. So we definitely want to keep you reading. You can definitely follow us on Goodreads if you want recommendations. I know my Goodreads has been posting to my Twitter. So you can definitely do that as well, and just keep getting book recs all throughout the summer.
And book club meets tomorrow.
Yes.
What is it? The girl in the basement.
Downstairs girl.
Downstairs girl. Yeah. I'm reading it. I can't remember what it's called.
He was thinking horror. So if the Downstairs Girl was a horror book, it would be called The Girl in the Basement.
My head was still in the Saw.
She writes words, they happen, and your soul is sucked into the ink. I don't know. Oh, books I need to write. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, so next week we are going to be talking sci-fi because we haven't done that yet, and I'm super excited for that.
And that's Miss Harris's favorite.
Yes, and so be thinking then, since we won't be back in July, next week is our last one. Obviously, we're still going to be reading over that July break. So if there's something in particular you would like for us to talk about when we do come back in August, if there's something that's just on your mind, tell us next week so we can make sure that we get on that on our rest.
Oh, it was like book release Tuesday though. Like, I follow Epic Reads and Fierce Reads and all of them. And oh my gosh, some of these books that just came out look amazing. So I definitely cannot wait to start reading. And I promise I won't only read fantasy. I mean, I could, but I won't. I will branch out. I'm going to have to actually like I like sci-fi too. I don't mind it. But I'm gonna like if I'm gonna recommend a book next week, it has to be good. So I'm really gonna rack my brain for some good sci-fi.
I'm ready for some sci-fi. In fact, I've already got a little bit of a jump start. Not one that I'll talk about next week, but remember we talked about Contagion a while back? I'm reading the sequel, so Immunity. I'm excited about that one.
Ooh.
Good. So, well, cool. Any questions? Any thoughts before we sign off? We're doing good.
No questions. All right. It was really good seeing everybody. Share this out. Remember, you can always go back to YouTube and watch past episodes if your TBR pile is running low. Mr. Thorne, from ISMS, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your fanfic art behind you. I am swooning, and even though it's a girl, and I'm okay with that. I kind of want to be fairy. I want to be fae. I just read the Cruel Prince series in a day yesterday because I needed some therapy reads. So
series. No problem.
Holly Black's great for therapy. Yeah.
Yeah, Holly Black. I don't know. I just needed it. I needed a quick 3 trilogy, quick read. It was beautiful and wonderful.
Oh man. Thanks guys for having me. This was a great time. Y'all got a good thing going here.
We will definitely have you again. You were fun. Definitely when Miss Harris is here, because I'm sure the two of you bouncing stuff off each other, it'll go all
it'll get crazy.
All right.
See you next week.
We will see y'all next week and then a break for a month.
Boo boy.
Okay, you're off.